Good morning, good afternoon, good evening even. That felt very Jim Carrey. I apologise wherever or whenever you happen to be listening to the Solo Bureau today. Now, yes, look, the Solo Bureau is a news show and technically we will be talking about news today. But a few of you asked me to also include some book news and maybe a review or two here because many of you know that I am a massive romantasy fan. So today I've invited on the show my good friend and former colleague Callie Rintoul, who is behind a book club called the Kindle Club. You can find her online. We'll talk a little bit about that in a second. And we're going to also talk about a book that has divided book talk. But also, in news, we're going to talk about a phrase that a book talker has tried to copyright this past week that has had the community up in arms. So without further ado, hello Callie, welcome to the Solo Bureau.
Oh, thank you so much for having me.
It is a pleasure. And we're doing this fun Saturday drop today because so many people have reached out after they found I was made redundant from my last job and asked me if I would do a romantasy book podcast because I would talk about it all the time on previous shows that I've been on. I'm a big romantasy reader. I love the genre. I am like my bookshelf is nothing but black covers with shields and swords and flowers, etc. on them. It's like I have a genre and I'm sticking to it, friend.
She knows what she likes.
She knows what she likes. So I thought I would invite you because you have actually started up a book club in order to talk about not just romantasy books, but other books around the romance genre. Tell me a little bit about the Kindle Club.
I have. So I started reading avidly in 2024, I think. And when I say avidly, I mean like I had planned to read 12 books that year. And by like the 15th of January, I'd done 10. So I think that year I read 120.
Woo.
Last year I read 184. And
Wow.
this year I'm up to 78 so far. So when I say I'm an avid reader, I know ball. Like I know books. So I have a couple friends that like to read, but for the most part, they're just not interested. So I'm just like, I want to be able to talk about the books that I love with people who also love them. And what better way to do that than start a virtual book club on Instagram? It has been so rewarding, so fun. I get to yap about books all day. I get to connect with people all over the world. I've made friends with girls in Idaho and London and the other places of the UK. There's a girl in France. Like, it's just been so much fun.
Amazing. And I do love that sometimes you post just random things. Like the other day, you did like a carousel of like things we should normalize being book girlies. Things like ignoring all the red flags of men in, real life that we would not tolerate because they're book boyfriends. Just fun stuff, right?
100%. We normalize calling these men green flags in books, but absolute walking red flags in real life. If my daughter was to date a man like this, I would be so disappointed.
Okay. What I wanted to do today, first of all, is kick off, and I did not realise just how cutthroat the book industry can be. There has been some pretty major headlines in the last 12 months about some really dirty deeds that some authors have done, and they are getting called out, right? But the most recent happened just this past week. Can you please tell us about someone who tried to trademark Hot Girls Read?
Yes. Okay. So there is a girl in the book community who has been ousted from the book community. Her name is Ali from Ali Rose Co. She basically put a story up a few days ago, or maybe a week ago now, saying, I have just trademarked the phrase Hot Girls Read. So anybody that has any merch or anything like that in these realms, which was like bookmarks, sweatshirts, Kindle cases, anything like that of bookish merch, respectfully and with love, you need to remove it from your website because it's now owned by me.
And the thing is, right, that phrase has been used for like a long time, right? This is not something she created.
Yes, absolutely. We have been saying Hot Girls Read for over a decade. I think it was traced back. Someone did the work and traced it back to like early 2000s where people started saying this. So definitely Ali Rose did not create the saying. And it's one of those phrases that you will see on so many different websites that sell bookish merch. And so it was really disappointing to the book community because we want to support the small businesses that that are creating these things and this merch for us to enjoy. And as soon as Ali Rose posted this, people were like, well, this is like my whole line. Like I've spent money on creating these sweatshirts or these hats or these bookmarks or mugs or whatever it was, candles, anything you can think of. And they were now having to pull it down and costing them money. So the book community kind of lost its mind. You would have seen a lot of hot girls can't read anymore, or hot worms read, or if we can't say hot girls read anymore, what can we say? And we're trying to find ways around it. But since, and this Ali Rose was getting a lot of backlash. Keep in mind, she was doing this for her small business, which was a massive error because obviously then no one was going to go and shop from her because she pissed everybody off. So she realised that she'd kind of made an error of epic proportions, and she is now in the process of reversing the trademark.
So she did put out an apology video, right?
She did. It wasn't great, but she's realised her mistakes. She's apologised, and she has since started the process to reverse the trademark. So essentially, no harm, no foul. No one's lost any money. No, well, she now probably has, but none of the other businesses would have lost any money or lost any product, which is a great thing. But it was definitely a wild roller coaster to be involved in. My first thought was definitely somebody needs to call Temu and Shein because they have so many items on their site that says Hot Girls Read.
They do. Etsy too. Wall to wall.
Etsy. I'm actually looking at a sticker that's on my Kindle right now that says Hot Girls Read. So yeah, now that it's getting reversed, everything is back to normal as it was. It's still a process, so it hasn't gone through yet, but hopefully within the next couple of days or weeks, everything will be smooth again and the hot girls can resume reading.
All right, so hopefully that has resolved itself once the legalese and the documents go through. So get back to reading, hot girls. And speaking of which, nice segue, because us hot girls have both just read the same book. We're talking about Rights of the Starling by Devney Perry. Can I just say, before we go any further, if you have not read this book or Shield of Sparrows, this is where you need to hit pause because spoilers are incoming. Amazing. Okay, good. You should have paused by now. For the rest of you, if you have read Rights of the Starling, we're going to talk. First of all, I want first impressions. Callie Rintoul, what did you think?
5 stars. Devney Perry has become a auto-read author for me, and these 2 books are in my top 3 of the year. Love them.
I too really enjoyed it, but I've seen quite a few reviews who did not, and I can understand why. It's a very different book than the first one, and it has, not just 1 but 2 timelines and stories going on, which some people do not like. And I heard something about the Throne of Glass series that was related to this, which I am truly shocked by, which is, so let me introduce you first to this new character. So where we left Shield of Sparrows was Odessa had literally fled with this young girl because we'd watched her father nearly be killed and we presumed he was dead at the time, and Ransom, aka the Guardian, was fighting off the Crux, and Odessa was like, I'm running for my life. They had a plan to meet up later. That's where we left the previous book. We presumed that this would then just follow that adventure, but it did not. Callie, who is Caspia?
Okay, can I just say, it took me a hot minute, and this was a big shock to me. I am usually pretty good at picking up on the plot twists of some books. This one I was nowhere near. Devney bamboozled me. Caspia was Odessa's mother.
Mm-hmm. But we don't know that at the start of the book, and I will freely admit that I too took longer than I probably should have to figure it out, because for a long time I thought that Odessa was Caspia's sister because I presumed we were on the same timeline.
Yes, okay. I went through phases of thinking, is this the same person? I thought Caspia and Odessa were the same at one point. Then I thought, my brain went to, she was the Crux that took Ransom away. And I was like, okay, so she's the monster, but she doesn't know that she's the monster. And like when she's in her human form, she doesn't know that she's also a monster. And when she's in her monster form, she doesn't know that like my brain went everywhere. I couldn't comprehend it. But yes, we met Caspia in the first couple of chapters of Rights of the Starling. And I remember I did this on audio, and I remember going back. Like, I kept going back thinking, what have I missed? Who is this character? Like, I've obviously missed, like, I've just zoned out while I'm driving and not listening properly. I've missed the introduction of this. And I think I started again like 4 times to try and find it.
It did feel like she kind of got dropped in, like there was assumed knowledge of who she was, because we just kind of entered into her brain having a conversation with her aunt, and we were like, hang on, do I know you? And sometimes I'm guilty of this. When I've read a book and it's been a while since a sequel, I don't often have time to go back and read book 1. So I'm like, hang on, were you introduced to me previously and I've just forgotten about you?
Well, this is our petition to start. This is a tangent, but our petition to start romantasy authors putting a 10-page recap at the start of their next book in the series.
Great idea. Yep, great idea.
Because we don't all have time to go back and read 6 books before the next one.
Exactly.
But yes, I felt the same. I was like, who are you? Where are you? But then I started noting the differences in the way it was written. And for me, doing audio, it was 2 separate narrators. So Samantha Brentmore, who is one of the all-time greats of female narrators for audiobooks, she was Odessa, and we knew her from the first book. And then Megan Wicks came in as Caspia for the second book, for Rights of the Starling. And having that difference definitely helped. That's one criticism I'm seeing online, is that you didn't always know whose perspective you were reading, and you'd forget if you picked up a chapter halfway through. But for me, I had the different voices to differentiate that. So that definitely helped.
So we meet Caspia at the start of this book, and she is in a whole other realm to Odessa, in a different country with different people. And we find out that she is magical in a way that's different to the way that magic is experienced in Odessa's realm, because she is a shapeshifter essentially, but not immediately. She has to go through something called the Ritus before she can shapeshift, and then her people turn into a starling, which to me is a giant bird. I don't know what you imagined, but then we find out when she gets the thrum, which is the call to experience her Ritus, that she has to cross a giant body of water to reach where her thrum is taking her, and that's where we find out she arrives where Odessa is.
I also thought the Ritus was her period for quite some time.
I will admit it did sometimes pop into my mind too. It's like, okay, so this is basically a story about menstruation. Okay, I get it.
So the Ritus and the thrum and all of the things, she was a late bloomer though. Again, she kept saying late bloomer. So I was like, are you just late to get your menstrual cycle? I'm not sure what's happening. But yes, so she was a bit late. So then sister, I believe, got hers a lot earlier, but shape-shifted. And what happened?
Well, this is a thing that we find out later on, because, and we've sort of hinted at it in Shield of Sparrows, whenever Odessa was around the priests, she could feel their magic, could sense their magic, and it hurt her. Like, it made her feel uncomfortable and she didn't like it, and the further away from them she was, the better. And so
it was kind of like Harry Potter whenever Voldemort was around. Like, there was a feel, like it wasn't just like a sixth sense. I can feel someone's there. It was genuine, like there's a pain.
Yeah, like Harry's scar is on fire, and that's when he knows Voldemort is in the vicinity, right? Same thing for Odessa. And we experience this with Caspia too. When she arrives in Odessa's world, she understands that the magic isn't right, and she's accompanied by her cousin, who is also feeling her thrum and is on her way to her own Ritus. And so they know she's going to shapeshift at one stage, and Caspia's people are animal-loving people. They have great relationships with animals in their home country. And then her cousin shapeshifts into essentially the same monster that bit Ransom back in the day and gave him Lysa. And she turns in a way that she can't turn back again. And that's the magic of Odessa's realm, is it locks her inside of her shapeshift and turns her into kind of a mindless beast. And this is where the difference in the realms becomes really clear. There's something wrong with Odessa's realm. There's something wrong with the land. There's something wrong with the magic here. And that's where this story kind of takes us on a journey. But meanwhile, Odessa's just bloody traveling this entire book. And where is Ransom? Who knows? He's basically absent.
Odessa, she did a lot of Ks on horseback and walking. That's a long time to be on a saddle. But yes, there was basically nothing else to Odessa's story. For a good chunk of this book, she was traveling with the little girl the whole
Yeah,
time.
Xavier's daughter and protecting her, which is great. But like she meets up with, a few essential characters as she goes along. But realistically, Odessa's storyline is pretty basic in this one. And I don't know about you, Kelly, but it felt like this was really Caspia's story to tell. And it wasn't so much Odessa's, because we'd had Odessa's origin story and we had to figure out the backstory of that. And this, like the way this tied together eventually, I did not work out until like the final pages. And for me, that feels incorrect because like you are, I'm pretty good at like seeing through the strategy and the world building and where it's going. Were you shocked when you found out that we were on completely different timelines? Because it started to become evident when they're both in the castle together, but never run into each other.
Yes. Shocked is an understatement. I was simply bamboozled. There is no better word for it than I remember sitting there and I remember the audio and I remember this was only a few weeks ago that I read this. We'll listen to this. I kept going back because I was like, hang on, I need to fully process this because what the F has just happened? What? Like, it was one of those twists where I was like, this has been so masterfully put together and the puzzle pieces all fitting together at the last minute, not kind of at 65% and then the rest of the book was just an adventure and some smart for the sake of it. It genuinely took until the last minute for all of the puzzle pieces to fit. And the way Devney Perry wrote that, I've never read something that was so clever in that way. Like it was just a masterpiece in that building.
Okay, I'm going to tell you about the scene that will kill you. So at the very end, when we finally find out that Odessa is actually Caspia's baby, she has fallen in love with a man called Andrea, who is actually the prince of the realm and will be king one day. The problem is the priests are forming and they are a threat, and she does not want Odessa to be harmed. So she knows the only thing she can do, and she's been holding it off for a while now, is to shapeshift and protect her family. But she knows if she does that, the magic of this realm is going to lock her inside the mind of the beast.
Mm-hmm.
And so she makes a deal with Andrea to kill her after she's done the deed of killing the priests. And he does. And then he lays with her dead body after she transforms back for days.
Mm-hmm.
And when people try and separate them, he says, "My wife is cold." Oh my God.
I have goosebumps right now. I sobbed. It's not often I'll cry in a romantasy book. I sobbed. It broke me at the end because it was just, again, it was built so beautifully and put together so beautifully that then when this happened, you're kind of like, again, shocked. Like, oh my God, hang on, wait, what? We've just found out who you are and now you're dead and now your husband is, your man is grieving you and now we are so sad. And like, I want more Caspia now that I know that I can't have more Caspia. She's like a bit of forbidden fruit. And it was just like, and again, doing it audio for me hit a whole different level because Jason Clarke, who narrated the male point of view chapters, just did such a beautiful job in those lines. Like, my wife is old. Oh.
Devastating. Okay, some slight criticisms. One is that sometimes the two timelines are confusing and my brain was spending a little bit too much time trying to figure it out rather than focusing on the story. That was a problem for me. Also, we felt a bit sped up with Caspia and Andrea's storyline. Like, they just immediately fell in love. There was no slow burn. It was straight off the bat. It was literally like, see you, 2 minutes of awkwardness, and then they're it. And then they're married, and then they have a baby. It's all like super fast. So it felt like a little bit rushed because there was a lot to get through in this book. That's the only thing. The other thing that I found out is that people, and I am so sorry if this is you, I am pointing a finger directly at you in an accusatory fashion because I heard, Callie, that some people completely skipped Caspia's timeline and just read Odessa's.
Well, you can't be doing that because there's a purpose for both of them. And I understand Odessa was such a cool character, so they just wanted more. But and Caspia's character and her chapters started slow. But that was kind of the point, and that's that slow burn and slow build. But I do agree that, yes, it was almost like insta-love for her romance sense. And then it was like bang, 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 now we've got a bang, and we're here. But then the first 70% of the book was so slow for her progression of the story. So I can understand that. But no, you don't skip whole chapters because you don't feel like reading someone's point of view. That's not how you play the game.
Do you know what's even crazier is that since I found out about that, I also found out that in Throne of Glass, people completely skipped Manon's point of view.
Well, I have a confession.
No, Callie, don't tell me.
I am yet to read Throne of Glass. It is going to be my July. I'm just so intimidated by that series, and I've decided I'm going to go in and do it this July. I'm going to read all of them in July, and I'm probably going to need you to hold me on track, but July is my Throne of Glass era.
Okay, I get it. It's a lot of books and some of them are very, very big. It can be a little intimidating and it's a lot of world to consume, but you will not regret it. It's an incredible story, but God, I thought you were going to tell me you also skipped Manon's point of view and I was going to be very upset with you, but that's fine.
There's no skipping point of views. It's not how you play the game. I'm a rule follower. Most of the time, I am a good girl and I am a hot girl who reads books. You follow the rules.
Okay, I love that for us. All right, so Devney Perry, I'm imagining there is another book in this series coming. Do we have any idea when that's going to happen? Has she said anything?
We do. It's expected to be March 2027. So far there's been a year in between the books. Shield of Sparrows was released in May 2025. Rights of the Starling was released in April 2026. So now we're thinking March, April 2027 for the next book. We don't have a title yet, I believe. One thing I will say is I'm so glad that I didn't read Shield of Sparrows before Rights of the Starling came out, because imagine waiting a year from that cliffhanger to picking up Rights of the Starling. It would have driven me crazy.
That's what I did. It's been a year. It's also going to be a year between We Who Will Die and the next one. And we've got a year to wait for ACOTAR. I am hanging on the end of series now that I'm going to have to go back and reread 5, 6, 8 books to get back into the right frame of mind to find the next one.
Yeah, I am so grateful that I went from Shield of Sparrows directly, within 2 minutes, into Rights of the Starling.
Okay, well, what we do know is that the third book in this trilogy is supposed to be the final, so it will wrap up Odessa's story and Ransom's story. So it's really interesting. Caspia was such a beautiful person to be introduced to. I'm really sad that she's dead. I would really have loved her to live on in the mind of the beast, and then we can, there's some salvation there. And we still do have that because Xanthi, her cousin, is still out there in the mind of the beast, which I'm presuming is the one, because the timelines go back and forth, that beast would have existed when Ransom was younger. Is she the beast that bit him and gave him the lysovirus? Is that how we end up with a cure? That is what I'm thinking.
Wow, that's a great theory. I hadn't actually thought about that, but now I think I might jump on that theory and use it as my own.
Well, we did read in this book that Caspia had green blood, and that is what gave that away.
If you loved these books, which we clearly did, Devney Perry has done a bunch of other books that I am deep in my Devney Perry era at the moment, and she is phenomenal in anything she does. Before this, she was doing a lot of romantic suspense, which is my favourite genre, and she's done some incredible, the Eden series. She did Bluebird Gold, which I just finished and rated 5 stars. So good. So if you're missing, or if you're like me and you're a romance/romantasy girly, definitely check out some of the other stuff she's done. If you are strictly romantasy, Claire Murphy, what would you recommend we go to next?
I've actually just finished reading Fury Bound, which is Sable Sorensen's second book and the sequel to Diabound. So that is a wolf series, a direwolf series, and it's got vampires and a really strong main female character and a very morally grey main male character.
We love a morally grey male.
We do indeed. So yes, that is what I am currently. I've just finished it, like literally put the book down just yesterday. And also I just want to do a real quick little plug here because my friend Grace Rouvray has just written a book. It's called Is It Too Early to Bitch? It is about her relationship with her best friend Katie, who sadly passed away on the back end of the COVID pandemic. And it is, oh my God, if you have a best friend, you will see so much of yourself in this book. It is truly, truly beautiful. And I haven't reached the part yet where Katie passes away, and I can feel myself bracing for it with every page turn. Oh, I don't know how my heart's going to take it, but I'm seeing my best friend this weekend and I really have to finish this book before then so I can just like cry on her shoulder.
It's on my TBR along with Diabound and Furybound. All three of those books are sitting on my shelf right now. Grace's book is one that I am so ready for. My hormones this month are not ready for that. So I'm definitely going to read it when I'm feeling a little less unstable, which who knows when that will be. But yes, Romantasy Girlies, if you haven't read these books, you have to. They're so good.
Loved it. And Callie, just remind us one more time if they want to get involved in the Kindle Club, where do they find you?
Come over to Insta, the.Kindle Club. Come and play with me. It's so much fun over there. We do giveaways. We do fun little things. And maybe I'll do another little giveaway soon.
Amazing. Thank you, Callie. Callie Rintoul, not Callie Borg. She's married now.
I'm a taken lady.
We'll be doing some more check-ins with Callie. She's rereading ACOTAR in the lead up to instalment 6, which is coming out on the 27th of October. And we might even do a bit of a catch-up for anyone who does not have the time to reread the entire other 5 books before then. Have a great rest of your weekend. We'll catch you on Monday.